So the next great crash, I write about China as the next great crash in my book, but I should be very clear. I was given advice that you should either predict the event or the timing, but never both.
Yeah.
So
We're
like,
all friends here.
Yeah.
So China on like July 14th.
Yeah, exactly.
What day?
But I also, I say any number of things could actually be the next great crash. The reason I worry about China is for the reasons we've already discussed, which is I think it would have a significant global impact, as well as on the country itself. But lots of things could be the next great crash. And those who specialize in the environment tell me the environment could be the next great crash. We talked about shadow banking, but, those who look at insurance companies that have insured in, say, flood-prone areas, or, others who have supported, properties that haven't adequately taken into account the potential of environmental shocks. Those are the kinds of balance sheets that could cause the next crisis. Whether it becomes a great crash depends on all the things that we've discussed before. But, there's a reason, I think, why companies now are reporting on climate risk as a risk in their annual reports. So financial companies report on it, normal companies as in operational companies report on it, because there is this, I think, concern that, we have environmental disasters on a pretty regular basis. So it could trigger.
I hadn't even thought of that. Like, if London flooded, the insurance risk there is.
Because there were some islands and small countries that they said they're going to be underwater in like 10
the atolls and that. They just,
so
like, just gone.
So and then other places where they're going to flood more, have tsunamis, or have like earthquakes. You think that something like an earthquake or flood would have happened, like a big one that would have caused some drama, like in California or London? Like if the Thames floods, we're all in trouble. We're all in trouble with the Thames.
Well, the San Andreas fault is like a ticking time bomb, right? They think that. So that would be a big payout.
And America's California's like the 8th biggest economy in the world or something. So if they have a really bad one in California, it could.
But then the reaction would need to be, it's okay. We're gonna pay for that. We're going to come in and we're going to honour the insurance claims. If a whole city went out that was £1 trillion worth of insurance claims, that would be the decisive action.
Yeah, so that would, and then the consequence of that, and this is, I think, something worth, thinking. So if these insurance companies are too big to fail, then they get rescued. Then if you think about what happened after the banking crash in 2008, the consequences on the government's, budget and balance sheet means they start cutting back on other things because they have to,
and things like this.
Yeah. And so when they do that, then you have, now you have a potential great crash, because now you have indebted governments and you have, taxpayers' money being used. And unlike, for instance, banks, which have bail-in other words, the changes since 2008 mean that shareholders and bondholders lose, not just taxpayers. You don't have that outside the banking sector. So you don't have that for shadow banks. You don't have that for insurance. You don't have that for private credit, which means more taxpayer money. And this is, I think, this is a worrying sequence, because you're right. A whole city flooded or worse, of course you would step in. So the question is not to get there. There needs to be, closer regulation of whether risk is appropriately priced in. Environmental risk. And that's exactly what you're beginning to see in, company reporting, insurance company reporting.
That was a clip from a recent conversation we had with Linda Yu about financial crashes. If you want to see the full episode, then just click here.